My girlfriend used my tuition money to fund her vacation with another guy, so I exposed her online and walked away. With her friends on my side, I'm a 22-year-old college student, and I've been working 2 jobs just to keep my tuition paid. Most nights, I barely sleep for hours, maybe 5 if I'm lucky. My hands are constantly dry from washing dishes at the diner, and my back aches from unloading crates at the grocery store. But when I look at my class schedule taped above my bed, it feels worth it. I tell myself that one day, I'll walk across that stage, and everything I've endured will mean something. My parents can't help much, they're good people. But life hasn't been kind to them financially. So I learned early that if I wanted a future, I'd have to build it myself. And honestly, I didn't mind. There's a certain pride in knowing you're earning every inch of your progress. Then there's Mia, my girlfriend of 2 years. She's the light in all this chaos, warm, funny, and always telling me she's proud of me. I remember the night I told her I might need to take another semester off to catch up on tuition. She grabbed my hand and said, "You're doing everything right, babe. You're the most hardworking person I know." Da's words carried me through the worst shifts. I'd imagine her smile waiting for me after a long day, her voice cheering me on when I wanted to quit. Together, we talked about our plans, graduating, finding good jobs, maybe even getting a small apartment once things stabilized. It felt like we were building something real, something steady in a world that constantly felt temporary. But even then, there were moments of flash of hesitation in her eyes when I mentioned money, or how she'd joke about deserving a little luxury after all our hard work. I laughed it off, thinking she was just dreaming out loud. I didn't know those small moments were warnings I was too tired to hear. The next few months blurred into a cycle of work, class, and caffeine. I'd come home smelling like fryer oil, collapse into bed, and remind myself it was temporary. Every dollar mattered. By the end of summer, I'd finally scraped together enough for next semester's tuition. It's just over $5,000. It was more money than I'd ever held in my life, and it scared me. I kept it in my savings account, checking it obsessively, terrified something would go wrong. One night, Mia came over while I was half asleep on my couch. She sat beside me, twirling her hair, and said softly, "You still haven't paid tuition yet, right?" I nodded. "Well, you told me the portal's been glitchy. Why don't you transfer the money to me for a few days? I can keep it safe in my account until the site's back up. You're always so busy you'll forget." At first I hesitated. Something about handing over that money made my chest tighten. But then she smiled the same way she always did when she wanted to reassure me and said, "Come on, I'd never let anything happen to your future." I believed her, because how could I not? This was the woman who stayed up with me during exam weeks, who brought me soup when I was sick, who told me I was her safe place. So, the next morning, I transferred the entire amount to her account. I even sent her a text that said, "You're my vault now. Don't lose it." She replied instantly, "Promise I'll guard it with my life." I'm in it. I actually felt lighter, like sharing that responsibility was love in action. But later that week, she started dodging small questions about the payment. "I'll check tomorrow," she'd say. "Relax, it's fine." Something deep in my gut began to twist, but I pushed it down. After all, she loved me, right? A week passed. Then two, every time I brought up the tuition, Mia brushed it off with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "You worry too much," she'd say, kissing my forehead before changing the subject. "I've got it handled." But there were small cracks that kept catching my attention. She started avoiding certain topics altogether, especially money. She'd mention errands and vanish for hours. When she came back, her nails were freshly done, or she'd have a new outfit that I didn't recognize. Once, I asked, half joking, "Damn, since when can we afford Zara?" She laughed, tossed her hair, and said, "A girl can treat herself sometimes, right?" Still, something in me itched with unease. I'd never been the jealous or controlling type, but this didn't sit right. I wanted to believe her, but every instinct whispered that something was off. One night at the diner, my coworker Carlos nudged me and said, "Hey, isn't that your girl? She was here last night, with some dude who looked like they were planning something big." My chest tightened. I wanted to ask, planning what? but I just nodded and told him he must have been mistaken. I trusted her. I had to. When I brought it up later, Mia looked almost offended. "Wow, so now you don't trust me?" she snapped. "I can't even grab dinner with friends without being interrogated." Her eyes watered just enough to make me feel guilty. I apologized, even though the unease in my stomach only deepened. The next morning, she sent me a picture of a plane ticket meme with a caption, "We should travel one day when things calm down." It was supposed to be cute, but something about it hit wrong. I laughed it off in the moment, but deep down I couldn't shake the thought. She'd been lying about something. I just didn't know what dash yet. It was a Thursday afternoon when everything finally snapped into focus. I was sitting in the student lounge between classes trying to eat a cheap sandwich, when my friend Jenna said, "Hey, isn't this your girlfriend?" She turned her phone toward me. On the screen was an Instagram story Mia, standing on a white sand beach, holding a cocktail with one of those little umbrellas. The caption said, "Living my best life." And beside her, grinning with his arm around her waist, was a guy I'd never seen before. My body went numb. I felt my pulse hammering in my ears, my sandwich slipping from my hand. "No," I said automatically, my voice sounding far away. "That can't be right." Jenna scrolled to another post. Mia had tagged the location some resort in Bali, the timestamp, 2 days ago. Right when she told me she was busy studying for finals, I called her immediately. No answer. I texted, "Mia, what's going on? Where are you?" Nothing that night. I couldn't focus on anything. I refreshed her social media over and over. New photos kept appearing, her smiling on a yacht, her holding a drink at sunset, that same guy's hand in frame. My chest felt like it was caving in. I told myself maybe it was a group trip. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe something. But then I noticed the caption on her newest post, "When you're finally with someone who knows how to live." The next morning I checked my bank account, even though I already knew. The money was gone. Every cent of my tuition savings. That was the moment everything inside me cracked. The exhaustion, the trust, the hope, it all turned into one sharp, quiet realization. The person I'd loved, the one I trusted with my future, had used me and funded her paradise with it. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat in the dark, staring at my phone, waiting for her to reply. Every few minutes I'd check again. No messages, no calls. Just her vacation pictures lighting up my screen like some cruel joke. The next morning, my phone finally buzzed. Her name flashed across it, and my stomach flipped. I answered immediately. "Mia, what the hell is going on?" Her tone was calm. To calm. "Relax," she said. "I just needed to get away for a bit. I'll pay you back. Pay me back." I could feel my voice shaking. "You took my tuition money. You lied to me?" She sighed like I was the one being unreasonable. "You're being dramatic. You were stressing yourself to death over school. I thought we'd both needed space. Besides, I didn't steal it, Ty. Borrowed it." I repeated, my throat dry. "For a vacation with another guy?" She paused. Then, almost coldly, she said, "You don't understand. You've been so obsessed with working and saving. I needed someone who actually lived life for once." Something inside me shattered. I couldn't even form words. All I heard was my heartbeat, loud and slow, like thunder in my chest. She ended the call with a final line that burned into my memory. "You'll thank me one day when you realize there's more to life than work." After that, silence. I stopped going to class for a week. My boss called asking why I'd missed shifts. I lied, said I was sick. The truth was, I couldn't move. I'd sit on my floor surrounded by crumpled bills, realizing I might not be able to register again. Everything I'd built was gone with one decision, one betrayal, and the worst part. A piece of me still wanted her to call back and say she was sorry. A few days later, when the numbness started turning into anger, I got a message request on Instagram. It was from one of Mia's friends, someone I barely knew. Her message read, "Hey, you deserve to know the truth. I'm sorry." I opened it, my hands trembling. She sent me a series of screenshots from a group chat. Mia's name was everywhere. In one message, she bragged. He actually gave me his tuition money, told him I'd keep it safe. Guess who's paying for cocktails in Bali? Another one said if he finds out, I'll just say he was controlling. He always falls for that guilt trip. I felt my stomach twist into knots. My eyes burned as I scrolled her friends laughing, a few calling her out, but most of them playing along. Then, another message caught my eye. A photo of her and that guy on the plane, with the caption, "Upgraded to first class." Guess I'm dating a real man now? Stared at the screen until my vision blurred. The betrayal wasn't just financial anymore. It was public. I wasn't just a fool. I was her punchline. I replied to her friend, "Why are you telling me this?" She wrote back, "Because I didn't think it would go this far. She told everyone you were controlling, but we all know you're not." I'm sorry, man. That apology hit harder than I expected. For the first time in days, I felt something other than despair. It was cold, focused anger. I didn't want revenge, not yet. I wanted truth. I started saving every screenshot, every receipt, every message. I wasn't going to explode in rage, no. I was going to wait, because when everything burns, it's not the loudest fire that lasts. It's the one that burns slow and clean. Something in me snapped, but not in the way I expected. I didn't break down again. I didn't cry or throw anything. I just went quiet. That kind of silence that feels heavier than shouting. I spent hours organizing everything: the bank transfer receipts, screenshots of her messages, photos from her trip. Each file went into a neat folder titled Truth. I didn't want to humiliate her for fun. I wanted her lies to end where they started, publicly, that night. I called one of her old friends, Leah. She'd stopped hanging out with Mia months before. When she answered, I said, "I think you should see something." I sent her the screenshots. She didn't even try to defend Mia. Instead, she whispered, "Oh my God." She told us you cheated on her. That was it, the final piece of her manipulation. Mia had prepped her circle to see me as the villain. Every cruel thing she did was justified by that lie. Leah sounded furious. She used you, and she bragged about it. You have to show people the truth. I hesitated. Wouldn't that make me just like her? No, she said firmly. You're not lying, you're exposing. The word exposing stuck with me. Together, we planned it carefully. Leah still had mutual friends in their group chat. She told them everything, shared proof, and one by one, people began to turn. The same people who had laughed at her jokes now sent me quiet apologies. Admitting they'd believed her lies, the timing had to be perfect when her audience was the loudest. When her fake image was shining brightest, and as fate would have it, her birthday trip was coming up, a huge party. She'd been hyping on social media for weeks. That's when I knew exactly when the truth would surface. The night of Mia's birthday party felt almost cinematic. She'd been hyping it up online for days. Private venue, close friends only, no drama. Just vibes. My phone buzzed nonstop with people tagging her stories, her laughing under neon lights, champagne in hand, surrounded by people who once thought she was flawless. Meanwhile, I sat in my small apartment, lights off, laptop open, watching everything unfold quietly. Leah messaged, "You ready?" I took a deep breath. "Yeah, post it." At exactly 9 p.m., Leah uploaded a collage to her Instagram story. Screenshots of Mia's bragging texts, the payment receipts, the group chat messages where she called me pathetic. The caption was simple: "This is what loyalty looks like." Within minutes, it spread. People started screen recording and reposting it on local student pages, Twitter, even TikTok. I didn't post anything myself, not yet. I just watched as the truth started unraveling her carefully curated image. Then I saw her live story vanish. Moments later, Leah texted me. She's crying. She knows it's out. I finally opened my own Instagram, typed out one post, and hit share. That tuition money she borrowed paid for her trip with another guy. I just wanted honesty. No insults. No long rants. Just the truth. The comments exploded, hundreds within hours. People called her out, friends unfollowed her, Even some of her party guests left early. One person wrote, "Damn, she really said vacation with stolen tuition money. Wild." I expected to feel satisfaction, but instead, it was quiet. Like standing in the wreckage after a storm. When the noise faded, I realized this wasn't revenge. It was exposure. I hadn't destroyed her. She'd done that herself. By morning, Mia's world was in flames. Her Instagram had gone private. Half her friends had unfollowed her. And the screenshots had spread far beyond our college circle. People from other universities were sharing them with captions like "Imagine funding your girls' vacation with another man." It wasn't just gossip. Any merit was viral humiliation. I tried to stay off social media, but curiosity got the better of me. On Reddit and TikTok, people were dissecting her story, making memes, even calling it the tuition scandal. Someone uploaded a clip from her old vlog saying, "I'd never betray someone who trusts me." And the comments were brutal. Then my phone buzzed Mia. For the first time since, everything exploded. She didn't start with an apology. "You ruined my life," she screamed. Her voice was raw, shaky. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" I stayed quiet. She kept talking, spitting out excuses. "It wasn't even that serious. You embarrassed me in front of everyone. People hate me now." Finally, I said, "You embarrassed yourself, Mia. I just showed them who you really are." She went silent. I could hear her breathing on the other end, shaky and broken. "I was going to pay you back," she whispered. "No, you weren't," I said softly. "You just didn't think I'd ever stand up for myself." She hung up. After that, the messages poured in, not from her, but from others. Old friends, classmates, even people I didn't know. "You did the right thing. You helped a lot of us see who she really was. You handled it with class." I didn't feel victorious. Just lighter. Like something toxic had finally left my body. But what surprised me most wasn't the support, it was who it came from next. A few days after the chaos settled, I got a message from Leah, the same friend who'd helped me expose everything. She asked if I wanted to grab coffee, said she just wanted to talk without the drama. I hesitated at first, unsure if I wanted to revisit any part of that mess, but something about her tone felt genuine. So, I agreed. We met at a small cafe near campus, the kind of place that smelled like roasted beans and rain-soaked pavement. She waved when I walked in, a hesitant smile on her face. "You look better," she said softly. "I feel like I can breathe again," I admitted. We sat for hours, just talking, not about Mia, at least not directly. Leah told me how she'd known Mia for years, how she'd always been charming, but manipulative. She used to compete with people she pretended to love, Leah said. "You were just the first person who didn't play her game." I listened, quiet. There was no satisfaction in hearing that, just a dull ache. But then Leah said something that stuck. "You know what everyone noticed? You never fought back dirty. You told the truth and walked away. That's why people took your side." It hit me harder than I expected. For months, I'd felt small, humiliated, powerless. But maybe power didn't come from rage. Maybe it came from restraint. Before we left, Leah handed me a small envelope. Inside was a note, a handwritten letter from her and two other friends who'd cut Mia off. It said, "We're sorry for not seeing it sooner. You deserved better." For the first time since everything happened, I smiled, a real one. Maybe I hadn't just lost something. Maybe I'd gained people who actually cared. And for the first time in months, the future didn't feel so heavy. In the weeks that followed, life started to feel normal again, or at least a new kind of normal. The noise around the scandal faded, replaced by midterms, deadlines, and long shifts at the diner. I'd expected whispers or judgment, but instead, people treated me differently. Not with pity, but respect. It was strange. For so long, I'd been the guy who worked himself to the bone while everyone else partied. Now, I was the guy who stood up for himself. The tuition money was gone, but I wasn't done fighting. I went to the financial office with proof of what happened, the bank transfers, the messages, everything. The dean listened quietly, then said they'd review it as a fraud case. 2 weeks later, I got an email. Tuition reinstated under financial hardship scholarship. I just sat there staring at the screen, tears stinging my eyes. It wasn't just relief, it was validation. Leah and I stayed in touch. Sometimes she'd stop by the diner, bring in coffee and teasing me for working too hard. There was no pressure, no drama, just an easy friendship built on honesty. One night, she said, "You know, people think revenge means destroying someone. But you just told the truth." The line stuck with me. Maybe that's what healing really is. Not forgetting, but reclaiming your story. I started going to the gym again, catching up on missed classes, rebuilding my rhythm. Every small victory felt earned. I wasn't chasing Mia's shadow anymore. I was finally walking in my own light. But just when I thought the past had settled, a message popped up on my phone one night, a name I hadn't seen in months. It was Mia. When I saw her name flash on my screen, my first instinct was to ignore it. But curiosity got the better of me. I opened the message. "Hey, I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything." I stared at the screen for a long time. No excuses, no explanations this time, just a single paragraph of remorse. She wrote that the guy she'd gone on the trip with ghosted her right after they came back, that she lost most of her friends, that her parents found out, and that she couldn't escape the judgment. "You didn't deserve any of it," she wrote. "I hope you're happy now." For a few minutes, I didn't know how to feel. A part of me remembered the girl who used to bring me coffee during my late-night shifts, the one who laughed at my dumb jokes and promised we'd build a future together. But the rest of me, the part that had been broken, humiliated, and rebuilt from scratch, knew that forgiveness didn't mean reconciliation. I typed back slowly, "I hope you find peace, Mia, but don't ever mistake my silence for weakness again." Then I hit send and blocked her. I leaned back, exhaling for what felt like the first real breath in months. My tuition was safe again, my grades were solid, and my circle was smaller but real. Leah and I had grown closer, not because of shared pain, but because she saw me, the version of me that learned to stop begging for loyalty. Sometimes, still think about everything that happened, not with anger, but with clarity. People show who they are when money, trust, and ego collide. In the end, I didn't need revenge or public validation. Just peace. And as I closed my laptop that night, I realized that was the best kind of victory there is.